Strong winds and marine advisory issue for Grenada. Local artists repairs for the carnival season while celebrating 10 years as an entertainer. In the region, political analysts awarded damages by the Caribbean Court of Justice. On the international front, U.S. launches new strike on Iran, targeting missile sites and boats. And in sport, GFA advances football development on and off the field. We have all these and more in today's luncheon edition of news for Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Stay tuned. The news comes to you compliments, Brighton and Miners. That's the first segment. Thanks for joining us with the details. I am Christlina John. Well, we start off first with this advisory from the Meteorological Office. The Grenada Meteorological Services is closely monitoring strong winds across the Eastern Caribbean caused by a tight pressure gradient between a high pressure system in the Atlantic and a low over northern Colombia. The forecast for Grenada calls for mostly fair, windy and hazy conditions with occasional light showers during partly cloudy periods. A marine advisory is in effect. An easterly swell could bring waves up to 8 feet. The public is urged to secure loose objects as strong winds may cause broken branches, downed trees, or debris being blown into roadways. Fishermen, beachgoers, and operators of small vessels should exercise caution due to choppy seas and rough waters, especially during high tides. The Meteorological Office advises vigilance as these conditions may pose risks to vulnerable watercraft and coastal activities. Moving along, 6 weeks after war erupted in the Middle East, the Caribbean is feeling the effects as soaring fuel and shipping costs drive up food prices across the region. UN researchers warn that the Caribbean's dependence on imports leaves it especially vulnerable, with crude oil prices pushing above $114 a barrel and higher costs for food, electricity, and transport squeezing household budgets. Low-income families are hardest hit as food prices have jumped up to 60% since 2018 and food insecurity remains high. Experts say there's also a 60% chance of an El Nino event by 2026, which could bring drought and crop failures to countries like Belize, Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. Recent hurricanes have already battered the region, leaving many with little resilience to new shocks. Authorities warn that without urgent action to stabilize markets and support food production, the Caribbean could face a deepening crisis of rising prices and worsening food insecurities. Moving along, local entertainer Shondell Amedi says preparation for the carnival season is well on track as he has already released some of his new hits and much more to come. In an interview with GBN Tuesday, the local artist said this year he will be celebrating 10 years in the entertainment industry and has plans to do so in a big way through the hosting of his own show called Amped.
It's my first show, first team event, and I choose the name Amped because it represents my persona. I'm always high energy once I'm on stage. Behind stage, you don't even know if I'm singing, but once I'm on stage, I'm hyped up and I kind of drive on that energy. So I just want to let the people know that May the 30th, which is Saturday, it's only how much? 4 days away? 4 to 5 days away, I think. Come out and show that love and get that experience, get that VIP experience, get that general experience, and most of all, dash live in concert. I'm also celebrating 10 years as a soca artist. Started in 2016, with no company, and I'm celebrating 10 years this year. So that is a big move for me and a big step. 10 years in one organization or one profession is something to celebrate.
The artist applauds the support received from local colleagues, whom he intends to include in his anniversary event.
Process of doing so, and then you say, you know what, I say, this is my first, I'll go fully local. I have no problem going fully local. We have the stars, we have the capability, we have the pulling power, and we also have the power to deal with the venue as well as deal with the venue. The waving, the running, we have that. So I'm going fully local for now. Next year we'll step up a notch. As I said, this is the first one, and I'm really excited and looking forward. Just as for sure, we'll start with the Kings. We have the reigning Soca Monarch, which is Modi. He will be there live. We have the reigning Groovy Monarch, which is Mr. Golden. He will be there live. We have Talbury, Mr. Killer. We have the Happy Boy. We have the Booba. Who else? We have Squeezehead. All my friends, all my musical friends. The cast is full, local, and the guys ready.
Grenada joined countries around the world in celebrating and commemorating African Liberation Day on Monday, 2026, with a major celebration held at the Victoria Park in Grenville, St. Andrew. This year's observance was celebrated under the theme African-Rooted, Diaspora Rising, Identity Reclaiming. The event brought together government officials, members of the diplomatic and Nigerian communities, cultural groups, youth organizations, and citizens in a powerful display of African pride, heritage, and unity. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, addressing the gathering, first recognized the Rastafarian community in Grenada for keeping the African culture alive and keeping Africa alive and ensuring that we can now have a celebration.
By saluting and recognizing the Rastafarian community. Hail the eye. Rastafari. Hail the eye. It is the Rastafarian community that has kept this event burning, imprinted in our minds when it was easy to forget it, when it was easy to look away. It is the Rastafarian community that has kept Africa, African consciousness, and the reclaiming of our identity at the forefront of the diaspora in the Caribbean, not just in Grenada, but throughout the length and breadth of the Caribbean. It is the Rastafarian community that has fought for the decriminalization of the marijuana plant. It is the Rastafarian community that has often faced discrimination, prejudice, victimization simply for acknowledging that we are descendants of Africa. And as long as we do not accept, reclaim, and solemnize our identity as descendants of Africa, then the liberation and the freedom that we seek cannot happen. And so I go on record for saluting the Rastafarian community for ensuring that we can proudly host our brothers and sisters from Nigeria today to celebrate with us African Liberation Day.
The Prime Minister emphasized the importance of reconnecting with Africa through culture, education, and economic cooperation. The Prime Minister spoke about the shared history between Africa and the Caribbean and encouraged Grenadians to embrace the African identity while strengthening ties with the continent.
The theme for this year's celebration is Africa-Rooted, Diaspora Rising, Identity Reclaiming. This theme speaks to the journey of our people. It is a journey marked by struggle, separation, survival, resilience, and now reconnection and renewal as one global African family. African Liberation Day is about standing in the present with our eyes open, our memory intact, our dignity restored, and our vision fixed firmly on justice, unity, sovereignty, and development. May 25th is historically associated with the founding of the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa in 1963. That institution would later become the African Union. It was born out of the dream that Africa's freedom would never be complete while any African nation remained under colonial domination of foreign control. An African nation here isn't confined to the continent of Africa. It extends to anywhere where descendants of African people are the dominant group in the population.
Minister for Tourism Adrian Thomas, in his remarks at the ceremony, underscored the role of cultural tourism in preserving African heritage in Grenada. The minister noted that celebrations such as African Liberation Day help position Grenada as a destination that values its history, culture, and connections with the African diaspora.
We gathered under the powerful theme, African rooted, diaspora rising, identity reclaiming. That theme is a declaration. It is a warning. It is a battle cry, a luta continua. It says to the world that Africa is not behind us. Africa is within us. Africa is beneath our feet. In our rhythm, in our resistance, in our blood, in our memory, and in our destiny. It says that the diaspora is not lost. The diaspora is right here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatnik, and the diaspora is rising. It says that after centuries of enslavement, colonialism, exploitation, racism, economic manipulation, and cultural distortion, we are reclaiming our identity, reclaiming our dignity, and reclaiming our rightful place in history.
The celebration featured drumming, poetry, dance, performances, cultural presentations, and tributes honoring African ancestors and freedom fighters. African Liberation Day is observed annually on May 25th to commemorate the founding of the Organization of African Unity, now known as the African Union. This concludes our local segment of the news. Do stay with us. The original highlights, international developments, and sport up next.
Got something to share?
Call us at 440-1252.
WhatsApp 405-3052 or 407-8458.
Or email gbnnews@gbn.gd.
GBN News, first, accurate, voted #1.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And now for a look at what's making news across our region. Well, we'll hear more on the political analyst that was awarded damages by the Caribbean Court of Justice. We have details to these and more in today's regional roundup from the OCM News Network. This segment of the news comes to your compliments, Fortune Foods Limited.
Fire up the coals, bring the flavor. It's time to crown the King of the Grill. Maggie King of the Grill 2026 is calling you. Think you got the creativity, the skills, and the fire to rule the grill? This is the ultimate showdown for chefs, backyard masters, and the food lovers alike. Step up, show your talent, and claim your spot among the best. With over $5,000 in cash and prizes to be won, the stakes has never been hotter. Happening Saturday, May the 30th. Register now. Call or WhatsApp 407-8458. But hurry, registration close April the 30th. Don't wait. Bring your fire, bring your flavor, and bring your A-game. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026, where champions are made on the grill.
Justice has awarded the Trinidad and Tobago-based political analyst and consultant Derek Ramsamouche $30,000 in damages resulting from his arrest and detention in Suriname back in 2020. Mr. Ramsamouche alleged that his rights under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which governs the regional integration movement, CARICOM, had been breached due to his unlawful detention by police officers in Suriname from October 2020 to September 2022. He said he had also been denied legal counsel and medical attention, and he was forced into signing documents in Dutch, a language unknown to him, which were later used in court as his confession. CCJ President Justice Winston Anderson read the summary of the ruling and agreed Mr. Ramsamouche's health condition worsened while he was in Suriname.
The court accepted the unchallenged expert evidence on behalf of the claimant of a consultant cardiologist that the claimant had sustained a coronary event, a stroke, and significant progression of his coronary artery disease during his detention, and that the reported conditions of detention would certainly have contributed to the decline of his cardiovascular and general health. On the basis of that evidence, the court found that such deterioration in health, at least partially caused by conditions which breached his basic human rights enjoyed under the RTC, must attract some monetary recompense.
The CCJ declined to make a declaration in respect of the alleged breach of the freedom to provide services, being unsatisfied on the evidence that Mr. Ramsamouche was at the material time actively engaged in the provision of services within the meaning of the RTC. The CCJ heard the matter in its original jurisdiction. Barbados and Guyana have announced a landmark travel agreement which will allow citizens of both countries to travel using only valid national identification cards. This is effective from July 1st this year. The historic arrangement comes as both countries prepare to celebrate 60 years of independence and is being hailed as a major step forward in Caribbean integration and regional cooperation. The new system will eliminate the need for passports for eligible Barbadian and Guyanese travelers, making travel easier and more affordable while strengthening tourism, trade, cultural exchange, business opportunities, and family connections between the two countries. Meanwhile, Chief Commercial Officer of Air Peace Limited, Noel Ngala, has dismissed claims that the West and Central African airline was denied traveling to Antigua and Barbuda because of concerns about exposure to Ebola. The Nigerian-based carrier made a historic landing at the Grantley Adams International Airport last Sunday, becoming the first airline to establish a direct bi-monthly service between Lagos and Bridgetown. However, the onward trip to St. John's, Antigua, Barbuda was cancelled amid reports suggesting fears over the possible spread of Ebola, particularly from the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as concerns from residents about whether adequate health protocols were in place. Speaking with Starcom Network News and other media during the airline's official launch, Mr. Ngala sought to clarify the situation, and he has rejected the speculation surrounding the cancellation.
Schedule was for Lagos, Barbados, and Antigua. And our decision to end the flight in Barbados was strictly a commercial decision based on the passenger loads. When we look at the loads before the flight, we realized that we had just 24 passengers flying into Antigua. And getting out of Antigua, we had just one passenger. We understand there's still a lot of work to be done on ground to also drive the traffic, inbound traffic from the Caribbean back into Nigeria and then West and Central Africa. But we made a conscious decision to end the flight in Barbados for cost reasons. We understand that now the fuel prices are extremely high.
Mr. Ngala further stated that all health safety protocols have been observed.
Fire up the coals, bring the flavor. It's time to crown the King of the Grill. Maggie King of the Grill 2026 is calling you. Think you got the creativity, the skills, and the fire to rule the grill? This is the ultimate showdown for chefs, backyard masters, and the food lovers alike. Step up, show your talent, and claim your spot among the best. With over $5,000 in cash and prizes to be won, the stakes has never been hotter. Happening Saturday, May the 30th. Register now. Call or WhatsApp 407-8458. But hurry, registration close April the 30th. Don't wait. Bring your fire, bring your flavor, and bring your A-game. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026, where champions are made on the grill.
For a look further afield, the U.S. said it launched new strikes on southern Iran on Monday, targeting Iranian missile sites and boats attempting to place mines. The strikes were in self-defense and designed to protect our troops from threats posed by Iranian forces, U.S. Central Command said in a statement. Here's more in this report.
I heard fast jet activity in the sky over the UAE. That normally means something's going on. And most recently, it does mean that there's something kicking off in the Strait of Hormuz, which is what happened last night. Iranian state media reported that they lost 4 Revolutionary Guard members in those attacks by the US. And they reported blasts in the port city of Bandar Abbas.
At least 7 heat-related deaths have occurred in France due to a record-breaking heat wave. The country has seen its hottest ever day in May. French minister says he would hold an emergency meeting later this week.
Several people drowned in separate incidents in rivers and the sea while trying to cool down. A man died from heat exhaustion during a race in Paris, and a woman died from hypothermia or deadly overheating at a fitness event in Lyon. Players at the French Open have been struggling to cope with the high temperatures, and the government is concerned about public health risks linked to the unusually intense temperatures so early this year. The French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu will hold a special meeting on Thursday looking at the response by ministers to the heat wave.
Well, good afternoon, sporting fans. The Grenada Football Association, the GFA, continues its efforts to strengthen football development both on and off the field. GFA representative Kirk Christopher recently participated in the 2026 CONCACAF venue and match coordinator course held in Mexico City from May 21st to the 24th. The program provided specialized training in venue operations, match coordination, and football event management in keeping with international standards for CONCACAF competitions. Meanwhile, the GFA is also preparing to host another grassroots football festival on Saturday, May 30th, at the Malmong Playing Field in St. David from 9 a.m. to noon. The event will feature young footballers from Bellevue, Crowshoe, and La Sagesse as part of ongoing efforts to promote youth development and grassroots participation in the sport. Do stay with us. We do have a recap of the headlines when we come back. Recapping the headlines that made the news today: strong winds and marine advisory issued for Grenada. Local artist prepares for the carnival season while celebrating 10 years as an entertainer. In the region, political analysts awarded damages by the Caribbean Court of Justice. On the international front, U.S. launches new strikes on Iran targeting missile sites and boats. And in sport, GFA advances football development on and off the field. This has brought us to the end of the luncheon edition of news for today, Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. On behalf of the entire news team, I have been your presenter, Christlina John, thanking you for having joined us.